It began in 1084, a year remembered not for harvest or peace, but for the sound of war drums echoing through the highlands. Carbansith, the emerald heart of Battania, had stood for centuries, guarded by forest and stone. But peace is no shield against ambition, and Vlandia had grown ambitious. King Derthert sent no warning, only fire, only steel. The siege of Carbansith marked the first blow in a war that would drown Calradia in blood. Sunlight beamed across the hills as the Vlandian host assembled outside the walls of Carbansith. Over 700 men marched in formation, their banners snapping in the cold wind. King Derthert was saddled in the center, with his son Alary and Lords Hecard and Aldric leading the charge on each flank. Behind them, engineers tightened winches and loaded counterweights, while the siege towers creaked into motion. Within the city, Caladog, the High King of Battania, surveyed the enemy from the ramparts. At his side stood his son, Mengus, and the young, grim-faced shield maiden, Aelid. The drums began to beat, and the first stone flew. The first salvo crashed against the town walls. Wood splintered, dust rained down like ash. Battanian archers answered in kind. Arrows poured down like a storm, felling sappers and shield-bearers as they scrambled for cover beneath the siege towers. But the Vlandian advance didn't falter. Derthert's infantry surged forward behind Pavi's shields, pressing toward the western wall where the outer battlements had begun to crumble. In the chaos, the battering ram reached the gates. A thundering crack, the main gates exploded. Caladog roared for the second line. Spears bristled. The defense held, for now. Aldric led the first wave, driving deep into the courtyard. The defenders met them with fury. Mengus cleaved a Vlandian knight, cutting his arm off at the shoulder, while Aelid rallied the remaining archers with deadly precision. But the pressure mounted. They were outnumbered. A second tower struck the north wall. Lord Hecard's knights flooded over the wall, breaking the outer defenses. The city's granaries burned. Screams filled the air. The lines to the north broke, and the Vlandians poured into the courtyard. Caladog called the retreat to the citadel. He knew the walls were lost. Ashes fell like snow, and with it, Carbansith. The last stand took place at the gates of the inner hill fort within the city. Surrounded, outnumbered, the Battanian guard bled for every inch. But it wasn't enough. The final defenders fled into the keep. The Vlandians tore through the keep like wildfire through dry grass, leaving only ash and broken steel, where the last of the Battanians made their final stand. Derthert entered the main hall before night fell. Ash coated his crimson cloak. Behind him, Vlandian banners were raised above the battlements. He searched among the dead for Caladog and his kin, but they weren't with them. On the other end of the castle, Caladog, Mengus, and Aelid escaped through the eastern tunnels. Caladog looked back at the burning town, vowing vengeance to all of Vlandia. When Carbansith fell, the world did not yet understand what had begun, but history would remember it well. For with that siege, Vlandia did not just conquer a city, they declared war on an entire age.